မင်္ဂလာပါရှင် Weekends with စုစုတာထွန်းအစီအစဉ်မှာကြိုဆိုပါရစေကျွန်မစုစုတာထွန်းဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒီတစ်ပတ်အစီအစဉ်မှာယင်းနှိမ့်မြုံနှံမှုနဲ့နိုင်ငံခြားစီးပွားဆက်သွယ်ရေးဝန်ကြီးဌာနရဲ့ပြည်ထောင်စုဝန်ကြီးဦးတောင်းထွန်းနဲ့တွဲဆုံဆွေးနွေးမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ရှင်ဝန်ကြီးဟာတန်တမန်တယောက်အနေနဲ့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံကိုအပြည်ပြည်ဆိုင်ရာမျက်နှာစာမှာ10နှစ်စုများစွာတာဝန်ထမ်းဆောင်ခဲ့ပါတယ်အနားယူပြီးတဲ့အခါမှာစင်ကာပူနိုင်ငံအခြေစိုက် Institute of Southeast Asian Studies မှာအကြီးတန်းသုတေသီအနေနဲ့လည်းတာဝန်ထမ်းဆောင်ခဲ့ပါတယ်။ Shells Company ရဲ့အကြံပေးအနေနဲ့လည်းတာဝန်ထမ်းဆောင်ခဲ့တဲ့အတွက်ကြောင့်မလို့အစိုးရလုပ်ငန်းအတွေ့အကြုံပုဂ္ဂလိကလုပ်ငန်းအတွေ့အကြုံနောက်ပြီး policy များအတွက်အရေးကြီးတဲ့သုတေသီအတွေ့အကြုံတွေကိုတွေ့ရှိတဲ့သူတူဦးဖြစ်ပါတယ်။ဒီကနေ့တွေ့ဆုံခန်းမှာပြည်ထောင်စုဝန်ကြီးကိုဒီဝန်ကြီးဌာနရဲ့ဝန်ကြီးအနေဖြင့်တော်၎င်းNational Security Advisor လို့ခေါ်တဲ့နိုင်ငံတော်ရဲ့လုံခြုံရေးအကြံပေးပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တယောက်အနေနဲ့တော်၎င်းအခုလက်ရှိကျမတို့တို့ရင်ဆိုင်နေရတဲ့ COVID-19 နဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့စီးပွားရေးတည်ရောက်မှုများအပေါ်ကုစားရေးလုပ်ငန်းကော်မတီရဲ့ဥက္ကဋ္ဌအနေဖြင့်တော်၎င်းချိတ်ကပ်မှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ရှင်မင်္ဂလာပါရှင်ဝန်ကြီး Weekends with စုစုတာထွန်းအစီအစဉ်ကိုပါဝင်ပေးတဲ့အတွက်ကြောင့်မလို့ကျေးဇူးအများကြီးတင်ပါတယ်ရှင်ဝန်ကြီး
မင်္ဂလာပါဒေါ်ဆူဆူကျွန်တော်လည်းအများကြီးဝမ်းသာပါတယ်ဒေါ်ဆူဆူနဲ့လည်းတွေ့ရတာကြာပြီလို့ဒီပြီးတော့ရောက်တော့အခုလိုတွေ့ရတာဝမ်းသာပါတယ်
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ပါရှင်ဝန်ကြီးတို့ဒီဇင်ဘာလတုန်းကလေဒီဝန်ကြီးဌာနတည်ထောင်တာဟာတစ်နှစ်ပြည့်တယ်ဆိုပြီးတော့အခမ်းအနားနဲ့အများကြီးဝန်ကြီးအင်တာဗျူးတွေပေးခဲ့ပါတယ်ရှင်အဲဒီတုန်းကဝန်ကြီးအင်တာဗျူးပေးတုန်းကလည်းဝန်ကြီးဌာနရဲ့လှုပ်ဆောင်မှုတွေကိုကျမတို့တော်တော်လေးကိုနားလည်ခဲ့ရပါတယ်အဲ့ဒီအင်တာဗျူးတွေကိုဝန်ကြီးပေးတုန်းကမြန်မာဘာသာစကားနဲ့ပေးခဲ့တာပါနောက်ပြီးတော့ကျမစဉ်းစားမိပါပေါ့နော်ဒီဝန်ကြီးဌာနဟာအဓိကအားဖြင့်ပြင်ပကနေပြီးတော့ရင်းနှီးမြှုပ်နှံမှုတွေကိုရရှိအောင်အတွက်ကူးဆောင်ပေးရတဲ့ကဏ္ဍမှာတာဝန်ထမ်းဆောင်နေတဲ့ဝန်ကြီးဌာနလည်းဖြစ်ပါတယ်နောက်တစ်ခါအခုအချိန်ခါမှာပေါ့နော်ကိုဗစ်တုံ့ပြန်မှုမှာဒီအပြည်ပြည်ဆိုင်ရာဒီရန်တရားတွေကနေပြီးတော့ဒီချေးငွေတွေပံ့ပိုးငွေတွေရရှိဖို့ချိတ်ဆက်နေရတဲ့ဝန်ကြီးဌာနဖြစ်တဲ့အတွက်ကြောင့်မလို့ဒီကနေ့အင်တာဗျူးကိုကျမတို့အင်္ဂလိပ်ဘာသာစကားနဲ့ပြုလုပ်ဖို့အတွက်ဝန်ကြီးကျမတို့သဘောတူပေးတဲ့အတွက်ကျေးဇူးအများကြီးတင်ပါတယ်ရှင်
ဆူဆူကိုကျွန်တော်ကဗမာလိုပဲပြောချင်ပါတယ်သို့သော်လည်းနိုင်ငံတကာလည်းကျွန်တော်တို့နိုင်ငံရဲ့ဥဆောင်ချက်တွေကိုသိအောင်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော့ကျွန်တော်တို့အင်္ဂလိပ်လိုဆွေးနွေးတာတော့ဒီနိုင်ငံတကာတက်လည်းကောင်းပါတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ကျွန်တော်ပြည်ထဲကပြည်သက်နေတယ်လည်းနားလည်အောင်တော့အောက်ကနေပြီးတော့ခါတိုင်းလိုမြန်မာစာနာထုတ်ပေးမယ်လို့ကျွန်တော်ယုံကြည်ပါတယ်
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ပါရှင်ကျမတို့ဒီ bilingual အမြဲတမ်းထုတ်တော့ပါလေကျမတို့ဒီနေ့ဆွေးနွေးတဲ့ဟာတွေကိုလည်းမြန်မာဘာသာစကားနဲ့ဒီအောက်ကစာတမ်းထုတ်ပေးသွားမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ရှင်ဝန်ကြီး
ကောင်းပါပြီကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်
So Wenji, if I can now switch to English and again in English language, welcome you to Weekends with Susu Thatun. And I would like to actually begin our discussion and focus on the ministry's work first. The ministry is relatively a very young ministry. It's only 18 months old, I think. But so if you could give us a brief a very brief background on why this ministry was formed and what the key responsibilities are, and how is this ministry structured to meet those key responsibilities?
Thank you. First, before I go into your question, I'd like to express my appreciation to you for giving me this opportunity to be on your program. I've had the occasion to look at many of your previous programs, and I think this would be very useful to not just to your audience, but to the wider audience in the world. So thank you very much for having me on your program. With regard to the question, you are absolutely right. This ministry is relatively young. We were created in 2018, so this is little over a year, 1.5 years now. In those 18 months, we have done quite a lot, mainly because our objective is threefold. First is to ensure that we are able to attract investment into the country, because FDI is essential for development. And that's why we have decided that we need to attract foreign investment into the country. Secondly, we need to make sure that the environment in the country for investment is friendly and that it is conducive for the foreign enterprises to come into the country. Normally, the foreign companies are like a flock of geese looking to land in a suitable environment. So we need to provide the environment for these enterprises to come to Myanmar. And then we want to ensure that the conditions are right for fostering stronger economic relations, not just with the enterprises, but with countries around us, with partners, whether they be bilateral or multilateral. So we seeking to ensure that the economic conditions are right, and then we have good working relationship with neighboring countries and with our partners around the world. The ministry itself is formed with two main departments, two big departments. One is known as the FERD, the acronym FERD, and the other is known as DICA. FERD, the Foreign Economic Relations Department, is based here in Naypyidaw, and DICA is based in Yangon. DICA is the investment arm of our ministry. It is the Directorate of Investment and Companies Registration and Administration. So these two departments work in tandem, and the first department, FERD, seeks to find the kind of funding and international assistance that we need to carry out our programs and to set our priorities. So it also looks at policies for foreign investment and for foreign direct assistance, the official direct assistance. We do this through bilateral discussions. We also have meetings with international financial institutions like the World Bank, the UNDP, ADB, and so on. I think when we were in the UN system, we had the occasion to sit down together and talk about some of these programs. Similarly, in Yangon, the DICA, or the Directorate responsible for investment, seeks to promote investment. And we're trying to do this by making sure that there is ease of doing business. In fact, we have done quite well in the last few months to make it easier for foreign investors to come to Myanmar and to make sure that they take firm root in this country.
Excellency, thank you very much for that very comprehensive. So I just wanted to link with what you said earlier about ensuring, creating a conducive environment where the metaphor that you use is where the geese that wants to lend can lend safely. I think recently the World Bank's ranking, the Ease of Doing Business Index, Myanmar ranking, which was, I think, 171 in 2019, rose. It went up by 6 digits, I think, to 165. Myanmar was considered one of the top 20 reformers for the year 2019. You know, this moving up in the ranking is really something that we should celebrate about. I have 2 questions, actually. So what did the ministry do? What did Myanmar do right to enable us to rise in this Ease of Doing Business Index? So that's number 1 question, Excellency. Number 2 questions is, while we celebrate that, we are still, if we look at the ranking from 1 to 190, we're still in the bottom 5th quintile. So what more can we do to, if I may borrow the words of the Madam State Councillor, when she said, what can we do to have a quantum leap in terms of our index? Excellency.
Thank you. Let me take up the word quantum leap. Indeed, we want to leapfrog, and in fact, we want to take quantum leaps. So I'm very happy that you mentioned this, and also that you noticed that the ease of doing business in Myanmar has improved considerably from the ranking in the UN index from 171 to 165. So this is quite significant. One of the ways we've done it is to see if we can improve the legal framework. So we have a new Myanmar investment law, and in addition to that, we have rules and regulations that make sure that when investors come here, they will find that it will be easier to do work in Myanmar. And then we have also worked on the companies law to make sure that when companies come here, they can be registered properly and expeditiously. We are now doing this online. So that is on the legal side. On the side of the personnel, we have cut red tape by quite a lot. We have cut steps in order to make sure that when the investor comes to us, they will find a one-stop shop. If you look at the ease of doing business index, they have specific areas where they gauge the kind of progress that countries do. And you will see that in the starting of business, Myanmar has done considerably well. So in the starting of business, for example, we provide permits online for construction of factories and the facilities for the production of the investor. So we also make sure that the minority investor is protected. And if they do have difficulties, they can find us, open to them, and that the work we do is transparent. What we want is responsible investment. So we want to have partners who are responsible, and we would like to ensure that the situation is a win-win situation for the investor and for the country. We are proud of the fact that we have made significant progress, but we will not be resting on our laurels. We will keep working hard to ensure that we can climb the ladder. So, in fact, our aim is to get into the first 100 countries in ease of doing business.
Thank you, Excellency. If I may move on from there, I think last year there was quite a bit of promotion on Invest in Myanmar 2019. I think all of us noticed was the investment fora that your ministry was taking a lead in terms of supporting in state and regional level. So can you tell us the reason why you did that? And also, did you see any tangible results yielding from such investment, Excellency?
Indeed, we have been trying to promote investment in Myanmar through these investment fairs and forums that we hold in the country and abroad. Outside the country, we've been to neighboring countries, Thailand, Korea, Japan, Hong Kong, Singapore, and elsewhere in Europe. This is to try to attract the investors and to show them that we are open and we are ready for business. At the same time, we have been focusing on our own states and regions internally to ensure that there is more interest. So we invite these potential investors to come and look for themselves the situation on the ground. And each state has its own potential. Sometimes the potential is in the agricultural sector, sometimes it is in the infrastructure or agri and fisheries sector. So we want to introduce the foreign investor, the potential investor, to the situation on the ground. And at the same time, we'd like our people in different parts of the country to have a better appreciation of the potential that exists. Also, we would like our partners to understand that if they invest in more remote areas, they will have better opportunities in terms of tax holiday, for example. If you invest in developed areas like Yangon, we are able to give you 3 years tax exemption, but were you to invest, say, further afield in Bago or even in more remote regions, we are able to provide, in keeping with the law, 5 to 7 years of tax holidays. So this is one way we want to introduce the world to us and our people to the world.
One more question with regard to the ministry's work before I go to COVID-specific questions. The Myanmar Sustainable Development Plan was adopted in August of 2018. And the ministry was formed just a few months after the adoption of the Myanmar Sustainable Development Plan. And of course, the Sustainable Development Plan is a long-term plan which has a vision of a peaceful, prosperous, and democratic Myanmar, in line with the Agenda 2030. So, if I may, as a newcomer to the government response to the 2030 agenda, what is the ministry doing to contribute to that overall vision of the Myanmar Sustainable Development Plan?
The Myanmar Sustainable Development Plan came out of the old plan. This MSDP is a broader, more complex, and this is to get everybody on board. And this plan also is tied to the 2030 sustainable goals, sustainable development goals. So that is why we believe that in putting these two together, we will be able to achieve the goals we have set for ourselves. We've set priorities, and we'd like the 9 ministries to work together. And our own ministry takes the lead role in coordinating some of the projects and priorities that we wish to see accomplished in the time frame that has been set for us. So by 2030, we hope to achieve the 17 goals that have been set by the United Nations Sustainable Development Plan.
Thank you, Excellency, for that explanation. Now, if I may, I'd like to go to the country's response to COVID. I understand that under the leadership of this ministry, we saw the launch for Responding as One, the COVID-19 economic relief plan. When I look at the goals of the CERP, and when I also look at the goals of the MDSP, the MSDP, the Sustainable Development, I see that a lot of the goals are sort of they complement each other. Whereas the MSDP is looking at the longer term goal, obviously the CERP is looking at the immediate response to this. So, so can you share with us the thinking behind that, as well as the strategies that you have to streamline the responses and to make the responses efficient, if I may?
Indeed. The COVID-19 crisis is an unprecedented crisis because you are aware that when it started, it was a matter of health concern, but now it has evolved into a bigger crisis because now it means that the other sectors are involved, especially the social and economic sectors. In Myanmar itself, it has the potential to create a lot of challenges for us in terms of the economy. And that is why we have set up the CRP. CRP actually is for the short term. The name itself is a relief plan, which means that those sectors of the economy that are adversely affected, we will try to shore them up. We have a working group that has been looking into this, and we have identified certain areas which are adversely affected. Areas such as hotel and tourism, the small and medium scale enterprises, and CMP, the cut, make and pack sector. And they employ more than 500,000 people in the factories. So we want to make sure that these factory workers don't lose their jobs, and we have come up with a special fund, 100 billion jets fund. If you look at it from the outside, it may seem small, but this is a fund that we decided at the initial stage, and of course it is a revolving fund, and we will be able to replenish it if needs be. At the moment, we have been making disbursements to hundreds of factories and companies that have been affected by the COVID-19 situation. This is for the relief, immediate relief. But in the longer term, we need to take a medium-term and longer-term view. So that is why they complement each other.
Excellency, thank you. If I may, some of the news that we're picking up from the social media is there is recognition that the government is, putting its best foot forward. At the same time, there's this 100 billion chart and these, hundreds of factories and businesses that is being supported is seen to be too little. What would you say to that, Excellency?
Well, we are doing what we can because we have limited resources, but we want to make sure that within these limited resources, we leave no one behind. This is important for us. So we want to make sure that everybody in the country will have a chance to be able to go through this crisis. In fact, the government has taken steps in terms of making, say, complimentary food distribution during the long New Year festival period. And then at the moment, we are also considering providing some cash to the affected families. So this is going ahead. And we hope that we are able to take care of our own people. And this is exactly what we're doing.
Nyama Yia Kaisaတွေနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးပြည်တွင်းပြည်ပကနိုင်ငံခေါင်းဆောင်တွေနိုင်ငံတကာတန်တမန်တွေပြည်တွင်းပြည်ပရပ်ဖက်အဖွဲ့အစည်းတွေကတာဝန်ရှိသူတွေနဲ့ထင်ရှားကြော်ကြားသူတွေကိုတွေ့ဆုံမေးမြန်းပြီးတော့အပတ်စဉ်တနင်္ဂနွေနေ့တိုင်းတင်ဆက်ပေးနေတယ် Weekends with Susu Thatun.
I still keep looking at the MSDP and the CERP, and there was something that I noted I think in one of your conversations. MSDP is described as a whole of a government development framework. And then when you were launching the CERP, you talk about the CERP adopting a whole of a nation approach. Now, there's a lot of significant differences but complementarities. Excellency, could you please enlighten us on that?
Not many people notice the nuances, so I congratulate you on this. You have noticed the difference between the two. When we say the whole of government approach with regard to CRP, we mean that all the line ministries must come on board. This is necessary if we are to ensure that our priorities are met and that we can do it efficiently. So the government ministries must work together as a whole. Only then can we achieve our objectives. That is the reason why we say it's a whole of government approach. The other approach, when we say the whole of nation approach, because of the nature of the COVID-19 crisis, we feel that we need to have everybody on board if we are able to, if we are to meet the challenge of COVID-19. The government has taken the lead in this. When the WHO declared this COVID-19 as a global pandemic at the end of January, within hours we set up our own ministerial committee. In a few days, the State Council herself set up a central committee to look into ways and means of handling this COVID-19 situation. And we have, from that time, the government has taken the lead and the people have rallied behind the State Council. And we are now able to ensure that the situation is under control, at least relatively, when we speak of control. Because COVID-19 actually is a new disease that not much is known about in the world. we can look at some of the cases in our neighborhood. If we look at South Korea, for example, they have done quite well because from the way they have used testing and tracing and tracking to treatment, they've done quite well in controlling this pandemic. And closer home, we have countries like Vietnam, where the numbers with infections are quite small. For example, Singapore initially had done very well, but then they had a second wave when they were hit quite hard. So we are also careful to ensure that we have a whole of nation approach. By that, the government will lead. We hope we have the support of the people, as well as NGOs and civil service organizations, and including the EAOs, the ethnic armed groups organizations. And as you will have noticed, in the last few days, we have been in discussions with the ethnic armed organizations to see how we can work together to meet the common enemy, so to say. So we are doing that, and my colleagues in the Ministry of Social Welfare have also been working in the IDP camps to ensure that they too are not left behind. So this is a whole of nation approach, and for this situation, I think we do need a whole of nation approach.
Thank you, Excellency, for that nuanced explanation. The takeaway for me is leaving no one behind, and also ensuring that all parts of society in Myanmar is part of this response. Thank you, Excellency, for that. I would like to, this experience in the garment sector especially has been hard hit, and it has been. To a certain extent, it has been very bitter and very painful. The impact has been pretty hard from both the supply and as well as at the end side of the supply chain. So I understand that there is discussions around how to avoid that impact of heavy reliance on external supply chain, and should the country be moving towards import substitution practices? So that was one of the things that I understood. And when I heard this, one of the things that came to my mind was, wow, that import substitution practices was something that was practiced during the socialist era in this country. And obviously, as we know, the experiences of those times were also bitter. So if we should be going towards import substitution practices, how would it be different from those of the past, Excellency?
Thank you for this very pertinent question, because a few days ago, I had the occasion to discuss this with the World Economic Forum when we had a regional conference, teleconferencing. So in that conference, we focused on making sure that the supply lines are kept open, and this is important for the region and for the world. With regard to that, in our own country, the new normal after the COVID-19 is going to be different, because previously we had always depended on, say, raw materials from China, and to have finished products going to Europe and North America. Now we have to rethink how this is going to work. So if we are able to have our own sources of raw materials, and if we are able to expand our markets, then it's going to be different. That is why we need to diversify and to find a different focus on how to proceed in the new post-COVID situation. We hope that we can leverage on some of our advantages. For example, we are an agro-based country, we have very fertile land, and we have human resources. We have a young population that is eager to move forward. So we want to make use of all the advantages that we have in terms of a young population and eager entrepreneurs, and also the fact that we are now catching up in the IT sector. The ascendancy of technology we would like to use to advantage. This, we hope, we will create a new situation where we have consumers that will look for products from our own country, and the manufacturers will adapt to the situation of the country. In fact, we used to be the granary of the world in terms of rice, but we will now try to move to other agricultural products, not just rice. We can look at value-added products from our country. Say if we are into fisheries, then we can add value to the products in our own country. That way, we can change the equation, and that's what we intend to do. But it is important that at this time we make sure that supply chains are open. And in fact, Myanmar is for this, and we have made this declaration together with some of our neighbors, Singapore, Laos, New Zealand, Australia. On the 23rd of March, we issued a statement saying we would support the opening up or keeping the supply chains open.
Thank you, Excellency. Now I would like to pick your brains on your experience as the National Security Advisor. I think in your OPAT, in the Global New Light of Myanmar, you talked about, I think this was a few weeks back, you talked about COVID-19 starting as a health crisis, which then transformed into an economic crisis, and then having a broader social impact and bringing on a social crisis. So I'm sure, Excellency, that you would agree that health security and socio-economic security are also a key contributor to national security. So would it be right to look at COVID-19 as a non-traditional security threat?
You are very perceptive. Normally, when we talk about security, people think in terms of traditional security. Historically, when we say security, people think that it means defending our borders, it means territorial integrity, defending sovereignty. Things have now moved in a different direction. In the 1990s, you will recall the UNDP at that time came up with a report on non-traditional security. That includes health, education, environment, climate change, and so on. So today we face many of the challenges that was identified in that report. Our climate is changing. It's quite obvious. For example, in our own country, it's being felt every year. The change in climate is affecting the way we produce agricultural goods, for example. Now, with this pandemic, we feel that we need to have to make sure that our people are safe. That is a big issue now. So when we talk about security, we should now focus more on human security, and this is what was termed the non-traditional security side. So the environment is also important. We want to make sure that we have an environment that is suitable and sustainable for man to survive. We want to make sure that people are in good health. And if we have challenges like the COVID-19, we must be prepared in future for these kind of pandemics. We had previously Ebola and SARS and Zika virus, so we were able to overcome that. But at this time, this is a new virus, a new disease that we are faced with. We should be prepared better for it. So looking back on what we are doing, we will make sure that our people are safe. The first priority is to keep our people safe. Human security, it means in terms of health, environment, in terms of political security, in terms of community security. All this needs to be taken care of. So, and as the wearing the national security advisor's hat, as a national security advisor, I would want to see our people safe and that nobody is left behind even in this.
Thank you, Excellency. That's very helpful and that's very clear. I would like to ask maybe one final question, Excellency. After all this, we've been facing the onslaught of this common enemy, COVID-19. After all this, can we think a little bit ahead of the post-COVID times? And do you see any silver lining?
One thing I've learned from this crisis is that I need to be an optimist. I do see some silver lining in the dark clouds. Mainly because, as we discussed earlier, we have decided on whole-of-nation approach. And that has succeeded to a large measure. With the government in the lead, the people, the nation, entire nation had rallied around the leadership, and we have made a mark in trying to stem the tide of COVID-19. Up to the information I have this morning, we had about 199 cases, and we had 6 fatalities. In comparison to others in the neighborhood, it's not so bad. So I think we have succeeded in trying to keep our country safe. Of course, our concern is that most of our cases are imported cases. In the beginning, we had migrant workers, we had our own citizens coming back to our country, and that had created a little bit of a concern and challenge for us because the disease spread, but we were able to very carefully track them down and then to treat them. First quarantine them and treat them. So this is a success story. And if we are able to work together as a nation, there is a lot of hope. It augurs well for our country that we are able to overcome challenges as COVID-19. It means that we will also have a better future for us in terms of peace negotiations and in terms of achieving the kind of sustainable development we hope to achieve in the coming years. So I think in all this, the silver lining in the dark clouds is that we have created hope that in future we will have a better country and a better nation.
Excellency, thank you very much. Wenji shin, ကျမတို့ကိုစိတ်ရှည်စာနဲ့ဖြည့်ပေးတဲ့အတွက်ကျေးဇူးအများကြီးတင်ပါတယ်ဝင်ကြီး။
ကျွန်တော်အနေနဲ့လည်းကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်။ဒေါ်စုစုနဲ့ပြန်တွေ့ရတော့လည်းအများကြီးဝမ်းသာပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ။နောက်လည်းဆက်လက်ဆွေးနွေးနိုင်တယ်လို့ယူဆပါတယ်။ကျေးဇူးများတင်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ။
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ပါရှင်မင်္ဂလာပါရှင်။
မင်္ဂလာပါ။